So apart from that layer grid, what you get is export. I can export this guy. Now let's do something. Let's get this our design now to a mockup, right? So I can quickly, let's make use of a knowledge. I don't need this border, this stroke here. It can be as plain. I don't even need this corner radius. It can be as plain as this. I can just come back here, make use of this our plugin I told us of, and let's look for a more nicer plugin. Free mockup rather. Yeah, if you scroll down this, I know you have mockups with human hands, so that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, so we have this. Nice. So I'll click this, and then I'll click this, and then I'll click this frame, see what happens. Alright, I'll close this. I'll say the crop is okay. I would the size is okay. Let me paste. So this is what we have, right? This is what we have. Looking nice. Yeah, it's looking nice. So you could display your designs like this. It's looking nice. Alright, so that's how. Okay, I've not told us export. So if you click a frame, let's say you want to export this out as a picture or whatever, so you click that frame, you come to export, you click, and then you see the size. So if you increase this size, it means the file of what you are trying to export will be big. So I want it to be like ×2 so that the quality will be cool. I want it to be big, and I want it in PNG format. You can decide to pick any format you want here, right? And then if you click this button, it will export. See what happens. My file has been exported. If I open it, if I click this folder, it will route me out of this store, but then I don't want to go out. So you can now import it. Let me even try to import it. So you see my download here. I can hold my shift for proportional placing, and then I import. Alright, you won't even notice. But then this one is the live element. You see, I can change the element inside, but this is a picture. You notice here, it's a picture, it's an image, right? So we are done with the Figma interface for now, pending on when we would continue the other aspect of Figma design. So let's continue. Yeah, so let's quickly deal with the bottom part of the interface. So what we have on this side is navigation, right? So you could use the move tool, which we are on default, and then the shortcut for that is V. Or you could use hand tool, which you can use to pan. You see the hand icon, you left click, and then you can drag to pan around the canvas, and then you can use the scale. Scaling it for objects. So if you scale, you can click this, and you see it has like a proportional scaling, right? But if you don't use scale for that and then you click, you notice what happened. Scaling is not proportional, correct? So you can also automatically change this to like a tablet, iPad mini. So you see we've changed this to like a tablet, right? I don't know why I like putting corner radius sometimes, just to make your work look nice. But then, so this is a move tool. So this is frame. If you hover over it, it's telling it's frame, and the shortcut for it is F. I've been using that a lot. I just press F on my shortcuts on my keyboard now, and then if I come here, click F, you see all those frames that we went through earlier on will come out, and then you just pick any frame you want, or screen size. So if you click this arrow, you would see other things you can do with that. You can draw a section and slice. While we start working, we're going to treat section. I'm not going to talk about that now. And then what do you do with this? So this is to import. You could if you click, there are two things that are happening here. If you click this image icon, you'll be able to import an image or a video into your canvas. But then into your file, if you click this icon, it's telling you shape tool. So you see a lot of shape that you can use. I click the rectangle and see what happens, right? I click the shape type tool, click the line, see what happens. I go back, click arrow, see what happens. I draw an arrow, I go click ellipse, see what happens. You'll be able to create an ellipse. Go click. So if you want to create a perfect circle, you also use the ellipse tool, right? But then you hold down your shift. So if you hold down your shift, see what happens. I'm creating a perfect circle. But if I leave my shift, see what happens. Hold down shift and leave my shift. So it's like a 2-in-1 tool, right? And then you create your polygon, right? And it will give you this. You create your star, this. So these are just basic shapes that you can create, and then the same thing as going back to your image, right? So this is pen tool. This is a bit advanced. Maybe we'll treat that later. If you want to customize shape, you want to create a customized shape, so you can use the pen tool to get like customized shape. By the time you start doing maybe dashboard designs, if you start doing dashboard designs, so you can use this to create your dashboard designs, even though there are libraries for that already. But sometimes you want to maybe be original and have your own library yourself. You want to like create your own library, so you can use the pen tool to create something like this, curve. You can use line tool for that, and then you see we're trying to like create a graph. So that's what you can do with that. You can be creative. So here we have text tool. As you can see, it's text. If you click and then I click any space, it automatically brings out the text, and then you see your cursor here, and then you can start typing. Welcome back. So on the text tool, there are lots that you can do on the text tool. If you click a text here, you see the text editor right here. You can change the font. This first input here or drop down is for the font. So you can install font to your workspace, or you use the default fonts that you have here, right? You click font. This here is for, it's a bit advanced, but it's for when you have variant. Why is my text behaving like this? The font I use. So when you have variant, so it's the font I used that even brought that variant section out. But then basically you won't even see it, except you use a font that is a component also. So if you click your text, this is for font family, this is for font style. So for the font style, you could pick medium. You see what is happening to our text, right? Let me zoom in more. So you see what is happening to our text. You could pick thin, extra thin, font style. Basically, from your MS Word, you know this. So this is the font size. You could choose font size here. Sometimes you might want to go bigger than 128, and then there is nothing bigger than 128. So you just manually type the size you want, 200. And it will automatically take the effect. So you can also do text alignment, right? You won't see this properly until, let's say, I put this in a place like this, or if you have a lot of text. If you have a lot of text, so you can do text alignment. But let me just move this to see. So this text is now aligned to the left. If you move, this is your basic text editor. feature. So you guys should know this, right? For everyone that has used MS Word or has used computer to some extent, you should know this text alignment tool. So that's the same thing we have here, right? Also this, I don't want to touch, even these are bottom aligned, but I don't want you guys to like touch this for now, just so that you don't mess it up. It's a bit advanced, but basically you just need this basic settings to manipulate your text and go on. I'm not even should I, so you can put underline. I don't want to like go deep into it, but then if you go to your typographic settings, type settings, you see the alignment we have here, we still have them here. You can put an underline for the text, you can strike the text, and you can use your basic case settings that you have for any text editor. Most text editor have this, right? And then let me not go into style and other things. So let's stop there for the text. And then the shortcut for the text, like we just saw here, is what is T. So once I press T, I can start typing something. So what you have here is comment. So what do you do with comment? Now if you do a design, you can drop a comment, right? You can drop comment at all, anything you want to say. So you use comment to communicate, to collaborate. So I might do this design, and what's an example of comment I would want to give? So let's say I didn't do a prototype for this screen, and let's say I want this screen, when you open this screen, you navigate here, this card should slide from under. If you wish to, you can come and put a comment. This card slides from below the frame. So you can put a comment, and then you can tag anybody on the file. Let's say we have other people that you've invited. If you press at, you'll see the name. Now I have only James Vendy here because he is the only one that has access to this file. But if you are working with other teams, you would of course have invited your developers and partners here, so you would see their name. So let's say you are trying to address the mobile developer and his name is Vendy, so you put at and then you click. So once I send this, Figma automatically sends a notification to Vendy. He will get the notification in his email that Austin has dropped a comment for him on Figma. You get? So you don't just use comment anyhow, because notifications are sent to the individuals you're trying to communicate with, right? So let's cancel this. You don't want this. So that's what you use for comment. If I open a file, let's say a real case file for you, you guys will see like a lot of comment on my live project. I'm communicating with the developers. Developers might probably be asking questions. The project manager might be asking questions or making suggestions, and we are communicating via this comment section. It's more like chatting, but by comment, right? So we've dealt with this action button before, where you can see your plugins, assets, and other things. This is where we got that mockup, a free mockup, right? So this Figma introduced this new. So you have a draw mode. Now you have a feature where if we go into this draw mode, see what happens. So these guys come up for us. These pencils and brush and whatever, they comes up for us. This pen, brush, and pencil. So if I click pencil, see what happens. I can draw. So you can use Figma now to create crazy stuff. If I click brush, I can click the brush type here. It's more like just like your painting applications that you have on other painting tool you have on other applications. So you have that on Figma. Now you can use it to create illustrations and crazy things. Yeah, we've seen pen even on the normal design mode. Yeah, so that's what you have here now. So this is on draw mode, but defaultly we are on excuse me, we are on design mode, and design mode is what we use to achieve all of this. And then it has stream mode. Now this is dev mode. If you go to dev mode, see what happens now. The interface change a little. The element in the interface change, but the orientation is basically the same, right? So you get to see deeper options. Now this is called dev mode because it's developer mode. Some of you might not understand this if you don't have a knowledge of development. If you don't have any CSS, HTML knowledge, you might not understand this. But this is just dev mode for developers. It means that if I want to get details about this as a developer, if I click this frame now, it will give me the CSS details. It's giving me the padding. I'm knowing like layout. The width of this guy is telling me the width, the height. Border radius is 12. This has a border radius. Background color is giving me detailed information that will be beneficial for a developer, right? So this is dev mode, but let's not go into that right now. So basically this is the end for the interface. From now we are going to go deep down into other section of Figma, and then we will start working. So right now let's go into auto layout. We are done with like the interface. Why I took so much time is so that we would even cover some grounds while we are dealing with the interface. We've dealt with components to some extent while I was going through the interface, and then but now let's talk about auto layouts. Now, like I mentioned earlier, people have issues with auto layouts, which I don't know why they should have an issue with auto layouts, because auto layout is supposed to simplify things for you, correct? So we use auto layout to have like an automatic adjustment of the layout of an element. Basically that is what it is. Auto layout is automatic layout. Now let me use this card to demonstrate what auto layout is, right? First of all, if you want to create something like this, let's move this guy and let's see how a novice will want to create this. So the novice will think of a frame. I don't want to waste too much time doing this again, so let me just copy this frame and take these guys out. So the first thing you'd want to do is, okay, this is because all these are in auto layout, right? So we are going to see how to do this now. So create this text if I want to imitate this. So I'll hit my T button or come down and press T and caps lock and write welcome back. We are dealing with auto layout right now. The text is big. Let me imitate this. This is 36, so I'll make it 36, and then the color is white. Right now, how do I center this at the middle of this guy? We are going to be using positioning. That is like a semi-auto layout, right? We are going to be using positioning, even though it is not auto layout yet. So I want this text to be at the middle of this frame. Now, one way to do that is if I hold this and drag it, you see this guide, that red guide tells me that it is at the middle. You see, it even snaps. It snaps to it. So that's one way. But you see that I had to like move it manually. But that's one way I can put it at the middle. So this is at the middle of it. This is middle vertically, correct? So it's at the middle of it. Now, what else? So we have that text. Let's continue. Text, enter. No, not caps lock. Enter your details below. So what's the size of this? This is 14. So I'll come to here, make it 14. The fill is white. Now, another problem. I can still manually move this to the center, but I will get obstructed a little because of this item, you see. But if I'm careful, you see, I've succeeded. Yeah, I've succeeded. Now, how do I move this to, because this is an auto layout, the space between this guy and this guy is 8, right? If I click, you would see the padding between them, the margin between these two elements is 8. The gap between is 8, right? how do I achieve that same gap here? We're dealing with auto layout right now, right? See what auto layout will do for us. If you want to manually achieve this, what you do is you press this, and see, you don't even know when it is like 8. How do I know? Is it 8? Let me check. See, 7. So I know there's a trick now. If I want to manually do it now, I've moved it up, and if you press down your Alt button on Windows, right? I'm using Windows here. You press down your Alt button, and then you hover over this. It will give you the gap. So it's 7. So I know if I move this 1 pixel down, I will get 8. So you see how I was able to achieve that manually. And you see the stress it took me, right? But see what auto layout will do for you. Let's say this item is here, and if I want to achieve this with auto layout, automatic layout, just put it for me automatically. I will select this, hold down my shift, select this other item, and then I right click. If I right click now, what will it tell you? Add auto layouts. So I'll add auto layout because I want to put these things on auto layout. Now notice what happened. This guy automatically shifted here to have like a proper alignment. Now this is when you start using your auto layout tool. If you come to this side, you see that they are all here. They are aligned to the top here. But what's the gap between? The gap between is 128, and see it here, 128. So I don't need to manually start moving and be checking to know what's the gap if I've reached like 8 pixels. I will just come here, press 8, enter. You see how simple this is and how fast it is compared to manually moving. Now, but notice we still have a problem. This text is at the middle. They are both center aligned, but this my own guy is not center aligned. If you are designing, you would come across all of this. But let's center this guy first. So let's come up here to the position and put it at the center. Right, we'll center. So now let's center these two texts. So when you come to this side, even if you come here and you click this place, top align center, nothing still change, right? We talked about text. We talked about text, if you remember, just recently. Now, if I double click this text, I notice that it's like hugging the frame of the text is hugging the text itself, right? Now, if I click this, notice something. The frame extends and the alignment of this text is to the left. Come here, the text is aligned to the left, right? So what it means is that if I want it to be at the middle, I will center align. That's one way. Let me take it back. I'll center align. Another way I could achieve this is if I click this guy, center align, and I click this text, and I see that the container spreads to the edge of this. The container has a fill. The width of this text container is fill. You see the width, it's telling you fill. Now I can change this to hug the text. I want it to hug the text. So I'll say the width of this container should hug. Now it hugs the text and it automatically comes to the middle, but I want to undo this so that my demonstration really work. So let's say this is even at the top left. So if I click this and I change this fill to hug, what happens? Now the container of this text has actually hugged the text, but the text is still not at the middle, still at the left. Now these two texts have one single parent because we made them auto layout. Try to understand layer and be looking at your layer section if you're a beginner. Most times be looking at your layer section. It gives you the breakdown of things, order. It gives you the order of things. Let's start with this frame. You click this frame. You see this is a frame. You open it from your layer. It tells you that you have 3 items, 3 parent items. Now you have one frame, one auto layout, an element that is an auto layout, right? You now have 2 ellipses, and the 2 ellipses are what we use as backgrounds. right? Let me center these guys. No, this one. Yes. So you have these three items. This is one, the text. You can even rename it if you like. Text element or anything you want to name it to. It's good to name your stuff for organization. So you have this and this. Most times you need to group these items. Group selection. You need to group them. So you see how it cleans your workflow and makes it more organized. So you can even name it background blur. So you see, it helps for proper organization. So if you click this parent now with its frame, you also need to frame this for whatever you want. Let's say welcome back screen. Yes, so on our welcome back screen we have two elements inside. We have the text and then we have the background blur that is below. I told us about layer. So watch what happens if I take this above the text. You see it's burying the text because it's above the text. So if I want the text to show, I have to like take the text above the background, right? So on this text element container, we have two items. We have the bigger welcome back text and then we have the smaller description saying enter your element. So we have one parent element holding these two. So you need to check the alignment. Sometimes if you properly align this, because we've aligned this now, let's say we're putting it at the center, is hug element, but then it's still not at the center. So you need to trace your step back. I think maybe this is why some people have issues with auto layout, that they say they don't understand. So it's not auto layout issue. So you need to make sure that you need to trace your step back to make sure everything is at the center. So if you know that you've dealt with this guy and it's center, now you click this guy, which is this element. Now you come to the auto layout. You notice that it is not at the center. It is top left aligned. That is why this guy is going to the left. Watch what happens when I bring it to either align top center or align center. See what happens. Either of these will not affect it for now because this container is hugging them. So you see how it just brought it to the middle, right? So it means if I have a text and I say welcome back, and I have another text and I say enter your details here, enter your details below, right? This is 14, give this 36 here. I can just press this too. Shortcut for auto layout is if you press this, hold shift, this element, hold shift, press this, then shift A, I've given it auto layout. I want this to be middle and this to be middle. Oh, it's not middle, right? So notice another thing. I like this arrow. Yeah. Now notice this guy is center aligned. This guy is center aligned, but they are not still the same. So if I know that the parents holding these two guys are center aligned, I know the issue of alignment is not from the parent. I have to like go deep down. Now if I go deep down, this one I don't have a problem with it because it's the bigger and the longer text. So this is the problem. I need this to be aligned. So I need to inspect this text. If I click, you notice the container is filled, right? But the text is not filled. So I have two options. It's either I make the text to the center of the container or I grab the container. So it's either I do this, it comes to the center, or I make the container of the text hug the item. So I have two options, and this is auto layout. Now imagine when you try to manually write welcome back, and then I'm taking this much time so that we don't revisit auto layout again. Oh no. And then you write enter your details below. Yeah, imagine I do this and then I start manually trying to is this center? What's the space between? I can't even see the space between. And then you start, 14, is not, 6, is below, 12, you are just wasting your time. So it's preferable you use auto layout. So that's one thing auto layout can do for you, right? So let's achieve this other card now. How do we achieve this card? Now let's treat them one after the other, assuming we don't have component and all of these things. First of all, we have a text, we have a card. There are several ways you can use to achieve this. So should we start inner out or from out to in? Let's start from in out, right? So let's start with name. Put your text and you say name, size 14 already. So we now have an input field. How do you create an input field? The best way, I'm not going to waste your time, the best way to create an input field is using auto layout. So let's create text. You create your text and you say, you put the placeholder, enter your name, right? Let's give it this color and let's make it regular, right? And then we now need this border. So if you click this text, shift A, we have an auto layout already, and it comes with an automatic padding of 10:10, right? So you can use anything you want. But let's say I use 12, and I want this auto layout to hug width. The width should hug this guy, or let's not even bother about it, it's hug already, because we're going to use fill later on, right? So but then we don't have this border. Remember our stroke now, there's no stroke. So what do we need to give the stroke? It's not the text, we need to give this auto layout stroke, right? So you click your stroke. So we are getting close, right? But then this has a border radius of maybe 12 or 8. You come to your border corner radius, you give it 12. Maybe 12 is too much, give it 8, right? So what else is meant? It's like this text is smaller, this is 12, yes. So you reduce your font, take it to 12, right? So we need to now marry these two items, they should be close, right? We're just doing auto layouts. Now what did I do? Well, I've not even started teaching us design and proper layout and arrangement. We're just dealing with auto layouts, but I need these guys to be close. The best and the fastest way to achieve that is to now make this text is an auto layout element. So that's what I use to achieve this input field, right? Let's even reduce the opacity of this guy. So I need to click this, grab this, and shift A, because I need to align it. You see, shift A, automatically it aligns, and I want this to be like 8 pixels apart. You see what I achieved with auto layout, how fast it is, right? So I need this password. What I need to do is to duplicate. One way to duplicate is if you select an element, press Ctrl D using Window, Command D using Mac, right? This element is duplicated already, but it's on top of each other. That's why you wouldn't even know, because they are perfect resemblance. But then if I press down from my keyboard, you see, I'll bring it out, right? Now I want to have a defined space gap between these two. How do I achieve that again? Auto layout comes in. I press this, I grab this, holding down my shift, still holding down that shift, I press A, shift A, or right click and shift A. Now I have them. I want this gap between them to be, let's say, 16. I come here, press 16. You see how I'm using auto layout to work, but this is not name, this is password. One way to target the elements, the text you are trying to make changes on, is you press Control on your Windows, or you hold Command. Still Control on your Mac, right? And then you target the elements. So I was able to target this text. Double click, and then I press type my password. So enter this will be password, not name, right? So see what is happening to this guy, right? This guy has a margin of, what is the margin I gave this guy? 12. But this guy also has a margin of 12, but is overlapping the margin, is overflowing. Is because this auto layout has a width property of fill, and is almost acting like fixed now because we are not filling it to anywhere. All right, we are not filling it to anywhere, but we'll fix that. So we want to create this card now. All right, what do we have? We have these guys on auto layout, so you don't need to start bringing a frame. Some people want to do this. Some people want to do this, bring a frame and then take it back, right? So some people want to do this, bring a frame and take it back, and no, I don't like, that's not the way I work. Why? I already have the card here, but it is hidden. So I'm just going to bring it out. I have the card in auto layout already. So this auto layout that is holding these two, this parent auto layout that is holding these two items, this section and this section, yeah. So I'll give it a fill. If I give it a fill, you see we have a white fill already, right? But notice it does not have any padding, left and bottom top padding. It doesn't have. The size of it is 123, the height of it is 132, right? So if I want it to, maybe I want to give it a defined height, a defined width rather. This is 416, but let's say I give it a width of 4. If I press it, I give it a width of 400. See what happens, right? Now there's still no space between my inner elements with the card. Why? Let's center this. Press this, bring it to the center. Why? Because there's still no padding. So the padding is you remember when we were talking about difference between padding and margin and all that when we started earlier. So padding is the space between the inner element and the parent element that is holding them. So if I press this parent element and say, okay, I want a padding of 16, see what happens. Both left and right. If I want it to just be one side, if you click the settings, if you click this, you see you can manipulate, you can give this 16, you can give this 20, but I want them to be the same. Now I've introduced a padding for left and right. I need a top and bottom padding, so I can click this and give it the same. See what we have, right? Now this has a corner radius, so I'll select this card, which is like a parent auto layout to these two guys, and then I'll give it a corner radius of 16. Right, so we are almost close. Right, so it's like this padding is more than this, so let me just make this 20, even though I'm not working on perfection now. So I didn't introduce other elements for this, like remember login, forget password, or login with other things or whatever. I didn't introduce that. I don't want to waste much time, but you see that we've almost achieved this. The only difference is that this card has more height than this, so I can just quickly check what's the height of this, 378, and then I can decide to give this one the height of 300, or give it the 378 if you want to mimic it, whatever. You see what we have now. Now these guys are also in another auto layout. Both the card and this guy are wrapped in another container. Developers will call it div, but here we call it's a wrapper, it's a container, but it's an auto layout because you can automatically adjust its layout. So I need to do the same for this. So I'll select this item, select this card, Shift A. They are on auto layout already. So if I check what's the space between here, is 44 pixels. I check here, you see I can manipulate the space, 44, enter. You see that I have a copy of this guy. How am I able to achieve this? With auto layout. So auto layout just helps you to move things around and to navigate. So let's quickly look at another example. So if we have two cards, we have two cards here. So I want to, okay, this is a frame, right? So I have this guy here and I have this guy here. Yes, so let's say I have this guys here and I have this guy and I want these two to be inside here, right? See, I have an issue now because I want these guys to have a definite arrangement. Maybe I want them to be arranged at the top left of this element. How do I achieve that? Maybe trying to imitate something like this. I want them top but left this time around. So if I'll have an issue if I'm trying to like move them manually, even though we have guides that will help you, but I want it to be defined. I want a defined padding, the space between this inner element and the parent element, both the left padding and the top. If I want that thing achieved, the best way to do so is auto layout. What I'll do is I'll just make this parent element an auto layout, shift A. Notice something, it will automatically hug it. But let's say I have a defined width already that I want this element to have. I want it to be 400 or 600 and I want the bottom to be 400. Now see what happened. These guys are arranged but they are the middle. So I will just click the parent element and say with my auto layout magic or superpowers, I want you guys to be top left. See what happens. That's top left. With my auto layout and superpowers, I want these guys to be bottom right. This is what auto layout does for you. I want these guys to be automatically placed at the middle. Come center. This is auto layout for you, right? So what if I have, let's say I delete this guy. What if I have cards in this place like this? I have one card, I have two cards. Should I give this an effect? Not peculiar though, but hey, I have two cards like this, and okay, these cards are more. Yeah, I'm trying to do like a layout design for a landing page or whatever, and I have this like this scroll, and then I change my mind. I don't want these guys to be horizontally I don't want their layout to be horizontal. I want their layout to be vertical. Auto layout helps you. You don't need to manually start moving these guys, right? What you do now is you just put them in an auto layout. Select all of them, shift A. These guys are in auto layout now. They are in that mode, auto layout mode. So it means if I click the parent frame holding them, which is the auto layout, see, they are horizontally aligned, but I want to change their layout to vertical. So if I select them, click vertical, see what happens. They become vertically aligned. Select them, horizontally aligned. This is what auto layout does for you. If there are more, let's say I duplicate. Now you can't see them because of this parent element has clip enabled. If I unclip, you'll be able to see the overflow, even though it is hidden inside. You'll be able to see the overflow. But if I clip it, it means I'm clipping the boundary, the edge of it. You won't see the overflow.